Good afternoon, Abbotsford residents. I'm Mr. Pelican. I'm running for the mayor to bring the RCMP in. It's well documented that the Abbotsford Private Police got owned by an elite establishment, and their shithole detachment, pardon my language, is not big enough to shake down the big players like Ron Funk, the insider trading, and the preferential treatment Henry was getting from Ed Fast and Mike DeYoung. The private police got owned. They couldn't even do criminal reports, or hit and run or nothing. But they figured that this was a way for the elites to hold down their insider trading by keeping a private police here. And it was far, way out of control. Today I'm on insider trading, and I want to talk to you about insider trading and why it needs the RCMP. And Colin Watts is sent in here to keep a lid on everything. When you take as far as getting in your car and trying to run somebody over and leaving them for dead and fleeing and paying off the police not to do criminal reports, and it's all over social media, you know that company's got to be wiped out. That company used sympathy and its name for years to bellyache on the insider trading. Henry lost, I showed you, the federals and provincials. And now only thing he's got left with his lackeys is to hold on to the city and embezzle every bit of dollar there is out of it. I showed you what his son Darren Braun was doing. I showed you what Ron Funk was doing. I showed you how he rigged Cooper's farm, knowing what Darren showed me, how he had counsel at his house. I showed you how he used Mike Sir. I showed you how he used Keelan Olenoff. I showed you when Mo Gill said there was smoke, there was fire, because there was something a lot bigger behind the scenes. I showed you how he rigged it all. Henry was a mastermind and the engine behind it all. And I knew when I went to the RCMP, if you pushed on Henry, you watch them all protect Henry. And you could watch him from the criminal charges, everything. But this got out of hand. It got out of hand that the Abbotsford elite investigators weren't doing their job, and they sat at my house to threaten me. They were pulling me over. The worry that Abbotsford had and the RCMP had that the Abbotsford police were going to drug traffic me to get me out of the way for Henry. Thanks to the Mission RCMP, they put a lot of security in on me and a lot of protection on me and a lot of witnesses. I'm going to rip the shit out of the Abbotsford police. There's no way to put it there. I'm going to tell you, their wives can see it. Everybody can see it. You don't stand on the world stage and have nobody come out. Even Mike Sir's guys can't even come out and say Mike was good stuff. They can't defend him. He covered an attempted murder. But they figured because he was one of his own, they would let him go. No. Mike Sir knew enough to pull everybody down. Dave Sidhu is a sitting city council. Dave Sidhu is a sitting council, and he got loaded. Remember the party at Mike DeYoung's house on Bell Road? Illegally by Marcus Dalvis to endorse him for council at the height of the coronavirus. His dad is Andy Sidhu. He was the chancellor of UFV till he screwed up and blocked me, and he said my shit old son did it. And I told UFV, I'll sue you. You can't, and UFV said, made it clear. We encourage democracy, and we encourage a democratic process, and we're going to look into it. Andy Sidhu was let go. Dave Sidhu, I made it clear as the city council, but Dave Sidhu's best friend is Ross Siemens. His best friend, just like Henry and Ed Fast are. His best friend is Ross Siemens. Without Dave Sidhu, Ross couldn't get in. And now, how do they repay Dave Sidhu? Let me just tell you. Dave Sidhu's not in no more pictures if you scan through whatever the city released. And they're going to tell you because Dave Sidhu's got a sick wife. The spies within the city said, no, that's bullshit. Dave Sidhu should have stepped down from his position a long time ago. He doesn't answer his phone. He doesn't do any of his due diligence. He's using that sick story about his wife because he's in the shame and he's being pushed on. So then they came with Amric Moran, and you could see how they were going to load Amric Moran because they really wanted it. This is insider trading. David Eby gave $25 million to the Vanderpoels, which is Vitalis. In return, they lobbied Dave Sidhu's property to be sold, Andy Sidhu with Ross Siemens, giving it from agriculture to industrial ag, giving it a significant lift, taking 5 acres and shoving it under. And then it had city councils all working the ropes together, which were Dave Sidhu's friends, to make sure it went on Dave Sidhu's property. And I showed you that it couldn't have trucks down here. I showed you everything. Whether or not David Eby, in my opinion, dumped the money into Vitalis and said, I need $4 or $5 million out the back door, because he knew it was going to Dave Sidhu, and he's a sitting council. Then they took this 5 acres of raspberries and they shoved it under. Then they didn't consolidate the neighbors, and the neighbors, thanks to the insider information of the city, said that the city bureaucrats upstairs, the bureaucrats that are running the show, had made the decision already on other jobs too, that this is going ahead, and it's just formality. It goes before the city council and the general public gets to speak, but no matter what you get to say, it's a green light. And they were making the decisions. That's why I told you we got to go after Rob Isaac and these people, because they were making it in the general public. This is how they did it on Cooper's Farm. But Dave Sidhu didn't use insider trading. So now you could see that they removed Dave Sidhu, and they're using Amric Moran. And you could see Colin Watts trying to promote Amric Moran after all the cheating. You could see all the private parties Amric Moran had. You could see Brad Viss at his party. You could see Mike DeYoung. You could see Simon Gibson. Everybody, they're loading to get that city and hold it. And they're showing you. But I want to outline, there's good people in Abbotsford, really good people. When Sandy Blue said I grabbed her up the dress to scandal me to help Ross Siemens, it was B.C N.D.P. B.C that I've never sat down and had a cup of coffee with. A tremendous person, a person with respect, a person with dignitary principles and ethics and morals that these people need to run for council. It was her that saved me, along with Rianne Gasper, and saved me at the sports center when they did it, Abbotsford First. And Colin Watts hangs with Sandy Blue. Colin Watts, his wife's got to look at this. His family's got to look at this. Ross's family, everybody. This is how bad they went. But it was a great mission RCMP that stood beside them. So they lifted this piece of property, knowing that it didn't have proper water, it didn't have proper sewer, it didn't have proper readings. The community couldn't speak about it. The neighbors couldn't. Semi-trucks couldn't. But they had David Eby doing this through the back doors. And the only reason is the 71 million missing out of Barrowtown. David Eby has to be involved, because you do not allow council, who is elected and there to represent the community, gain and a significant lift out of this. So now they need to make sure that they're going to run Ross Siemens again, because they got too much at stake. They got far too much with everything coming in. But this is insider trading. This is where the RCMP take over and they come in. But they believe that the Abbotsford police are in charge of everything. They're in charge of everything. And you got to stay out of my territory. These are how the threats came. And they were doing this. And they significantly lifted this, the council's work. But the insiders of the Abbotsford City were right with me leaking this information so I could watch it go through stages by stages of stages. Now, let me tell you about ag processing and when you got 5 acres, and you can increase the carbon footprint from 21,000 to 60,000, you had overrides. And they needed to do this to help Dave Sidhu get up. There was plenty of other properties, and everybody knew there was plenty of other properties. There was lots down on Riverside. They needed to make sure Dave Sidhu is paid off to shut his mouth. If the RCMP and investigators come in and they take this, Dave Sidhu and Andy are going to cooperate with authorities and turn everybody over. And we're going to see that, because Henry tried to end somebody's life in broad daylight. Henry's the mastermind with it, so they got to make sure that Dave Sidhu is well looked after so he doesn't squeal. Not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's insider trading. So now you take the Vanderpools that went and did this stuff with David Eby. They think that they're a big company and Abbotsford police can't shake them down. This is why you need the RCMP, and they'll shake you very fast. Oh, they'll shake you. They'll grab you and they'll shake this little Vanderpools. Vanderpools won't even know what'll happen. They'll come running out, and Vitalis will come running. Henry did it. Henry did it. Henry convinced us. Henry convinced us he could get the money. Him and Ed, they will tell the story. So then we take this and they increase that carbon footprint, which is illegal. It's criminally illegal. Now, when you got industrial ag, they took it from ag, they took it to industrial ag. The rule of ag is that you have to make sure that you have, when you put this building, you have the land to supply this building with it. And that's the rule on agriculture land. So if you got 5 acres, you need to have 55 acres to do this. So David Eby came up with a plan. He came up with a plan. And that plan he came up with this a few years ago was on this ag industrial, was a cooperative, an egg cooperative. So they can't produce, so that will allow everybody to get into the egg cooperative with Vitalis. It'll allow me to join Vitalis's cooperative on its board and then tell you how they rigged it all and how they did it, everything from in the backs, and leak it and tell the general community. And Vitalis knows they can't block a cooperative, can you, Vitalis? You know that, Vanderpoels. But Vanderpoels were going to do something bigger. They figured they were going to do that. And them were David Eby's rules. Them David Eby made when the processing you're making on ag land doesn't create enough of your own product on your property. He created a cooperative. And that allows everybody to get in that cooperative. It allows you to get onto the board. It allows you to look into the board, into the books, and allows you to show you all the backroom deals and everything they did. And it allows you to walk in on insider trading and everything. Now, Vanderpoels, I pick up the phone and I phone David Eby and say, Mr. Pelican knows the 71 million's missing in Barrowtown. They know this was all rigged. They knew Dave Sidhu did insider trading. They knew this was to pay Dave Sidhu off for rigging that election and helping with the South Asian in the newspaper and the blocking. And it's going to get worse, and it's getting a lot worse. So I'm going to tell Abbotsford residents, I want you to bring your dozen eggs, nice brown eggs from your farmers. And I want you to join David Eby's cooperative that he created. And I want to see Corky Neufeld now get his hand out of his butt and start working for Abbotsford residents and stop hanging around with Ross Siemens and the people that he was doing damage control for. Vitalis purposely bought this, purposely headhunted by Henry Brown and Ross Siemens for his partner on insider trading, Dave Sidhu. When I told the RCMP it was these development signs that Darren Brown leaked, and I knew with my experience from Wall Financial, Aquilini, and Mike Dakota is why my life was being threatened by Abbotsford's top elite investigators that figured they could fool everybody because Henry knew I was standing in front of these developments that he was lobbying insider trading and job sites to. He used his friends on the Abbotsford police and said I couldn't have Mr. Pelican podcasting out there. We stand to lose hundreds of millions. Let me tell you, Henry Brown got in the car, left the city of Abbotsford. He came to where Abbotsford residents and I were. He tried to end my life. He fled from the scene of the accident, left me for dead, left me injured. The Abbotsford men and women, shithole, garbage, trash men that convinced you they were investigators, knew better than to cover that, knew better than not to take reports, and knew better than to go stalk the victim because they needed it shut up. But they were doing a favor under that uniform to save the Abbotsford private police for an elite mob. Take Henry Brown and the Abbotsford police out of Abbotsford in the insider trading. There's a lot of people going to jail. And I'm going to tell you this, Colin Watts. I want you to tell you this. When them searches come, and they come fast, even Simon Gibson said, they come fast. They're going to pull your shit old phone and see how many times you've been on your bloody phone to David Eby covering up insider trading. Because I give you an open invitation, thanks to the RCMP, when you guys were smashing my phone, making false accusations, and what you should have did is addressed it to the public, and you should have said, that guy's gone. Mr. Pelican, you're going to get a new phone, a new camera, and you're going to get a full apologize. And then Colin Watts went upstairs, my big company. If you're not shitting eggs, Colin Watts, you and your investigators, I tell you, you better start doing it really now. But I suggest you and your top elite investigators that don't know garbage, nothing, of only they can talk about is gangs. Gangs, let me tell you about the gangs and the fentanyl and the gangs and the fentanyl. Go down and get your dozen eggs. And then phone David Eby and say, this is the Abbotsford Police Chief, Colin Watts, and my top investigators. I want to join your egg cooperative on Tracy Road. Didn't you make them rules, David Eby? Oh, no. Or was it David Eby was pumping money into a dirty community, knew Henry Brown was a millionaire and knew that Henry could get this money out, and it went all missing, in my opinion. Vitalis is illegal, 100% illegal. It's insider trading with Dave Sidhu. And now you're looking at the Ag Center they want to move for $500 million. You're looking at Barrowtown, $77 million. You're looking at Sage's property, Ron Funk. You're looking at the rocks. You're looking at it all. She's going to pull you down. She's going to pull you down. And she's going to whack you. But I'm guaranteeing you this, Abbotsford. An Abbotsford judge told me when we started this, nobody's above the law, Mr. Pelican. No one can use it, and no one can bend it. And no one thinks of the end, not even David Eby. David Eby, when this craps up your door on Vitalis, they're going to know that this was hand-picked. And they're going to ask you in the ledge, how much money were you getting in a suitcase, and where is the 71 million missing in Barrowtown? Because sooner or later, the President of the United States is going to see that 71 million's missing in Barrowtown with Jake's contracting, and the farmers got nothing. And you're going to get spanked even harder. I'm live. Abbotsford, British Columbia. Abbotsford residents, Tracy Road.